Hi, welcome to episode 520 of the Corner of Knit and Tea. My name is Laura. I'm also known as Fluffy Kira on Instagram and over on Blue Sky. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, which is where this episode and every episode show notes will be. And I have an Etsy shop called The Corner of Knit and Tea, where I sell my handspun yarns and knitting patterns. Hi, happy Monday. It is Monday. May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, and that actually means it is my 47th birthday today. So I am mostly having a regular day. I am working and getting some projects done, but Wes and I are going to go out for dinner tonight, and then the primary thing that I want to do is go out for ice cream. So that is what we're doing. We have a great little homemade ice cream shop not too far from the house, and so we're going to go get a little bit of dinner. And it's funny because I'm strategizing what I'm going to eat for dinner so I can maximize ice cream. So because that's how I roll. Actually, I have had a lovely weekend because okay, I admit it, I kind of like having attention paid to me on my birthday. I admit it. So because I had to work today, I teased Wes that I needed a whole birthday weekend, and he actually was so lovely and completely obliged. I had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. On Saturday, I met up with Anna, my friend Anna, who is in my knitting group and who actually made this sweater. She knit the sweater, and when she got partway through, she said, "These are not my colors. These are yours. It's yours." And I'm actually going to repay the favor a couple of years later because there is a new fabric collection coming out from Ruby Star this summer that is all about stationery and letter writing products, and so I am going to make her quilt out of that because she is my friend through whom I do all the fountain pen stuff. She has the well-appointed desk, and I write over there on Tuesdays, but she is a desk and office supplies person, and a letter writer, and the new collection that's coming out is really cute, so I'm going to make her a quilt out of that. Anyway, I digress. We had coffee on Saturday, which we do maybe once a month. We meet up for coffee and knitting and just sit for a couple hours and relax. And we did that, and it was absolutely lovely. And then Wes and I went out and tried a new restaurant, which we like doing sometimes. And we tried a new restaurant for lunch, after which we did a little shopping. And he surprised me. I have had a variety of technological issues this year. So I am not a person who like jumps towards new technology. I like technology, but like I'm not someone who needs to trade things in. So this year has been a little bit hard. You may remember towards the beginning of the year, my desktop, apparently the operating system got corrupted and it stopped working. And so I had to take it in, and I was afraid that it was like gone. I was afraid the hard drive had died. And my desktop is about my desktop is almost 7 years old. And so I was a little worried about it because that's the primary computer I use for work. And so, and it actually, my work doesn't own it. I work from home and it's my computer, but I use it for tech editing and for work, and it's my main machine at this point. So it turned out that I could have them reinstall the operating system, and they were able to back up the hard drive, reinstall it, and so it appears to be working. In the meantime, I talked to work, and they got me a laptop. So I do have a work laptop so that I can work on it. Then the next problem came up, and I think I talked about this a couple weeks ago, because my iPhone was also 7 years old. And the battery in it was not holding a charge anymore. Like I would use it, like I'd film the podcast and it would be practically dead, and I'd have to plug it in right away, even if I started at a full charge. So we're going to be traveling this summer, and I was really concerned that my phone would just die all the time and I wouldn't be able to keep it plugged in. So that, in addition to the situation in America with tariffs and uncertainty, I actually bought myself a new iPhone about 4 weeks ago. Basically, I called it my birthday present to myself, but I upgraded. And so I thought I was done, but lately my personal laptop, which is 12 years old, has been, it's been crashing quite a bit. And one night several weeks ago, it did this whole thing where it like flashes a whole bunch and then crashes. And Wes looked at me and said, "What is it doing?" Because it was like flashing over there. Well, it was open on a side table because I usually keep my laptop out by the couch. And I primarily use it for surfing. Anyway, he said, "What is it doing?" And I said, "Oh, it's just not working. I just need to reboot it and it will be fine." And he said, that's not how computers work. And I was like, "I know, honey, but it's like 12 years old. So eventually I need to upgrade it." But I had just dealt with all this stuff with this. I had just bought the new iPhone. I was like, I'm just not in the mood for like buying more technology. So he took me out on Saturday and bought me new technology. I ended up actually getting a tablet instead of a laptop to replace it, and I'm still working on it. Like to kind of move some files over and get it ready to go for me. And I think it's going to be great. And so I jokingly said to Wes the other night that rather than happy birthday to me, it's actually happy birthday to Apple month, because I spent a lot of money on Mac products. So that is kind of how the weekend went, but he took me out. He was very sweet, and he said he really wanted to do it for my birthday. So we did it. And I feel very lucky and loved. And we had a nice evening at home on Saturday. And then yesterday, I had another day of activities, not specifically birthday activities, but we went out in the morning and we had lunch. And it was funny because last week at midnight, we were chatting and talking about iced tea and iced coffee and tea and boba. And I said something that I've never actually had boba before and that I was interested in trying it. So yesterday after lunch, we get in the car, and instead of setting off for home, he's like going off in some other direction. And I said, "Oh, are we running errands?" And he said, "Well, it's your birthday weekend, so we're going to get you boba because you've never tried it before." So we went and had boba yesterday. So that was really lovely. And then my book club met yesterday afternoon. So I was in and out of the house all weekend. I saw friends. I received some lovely packages in the mail. It was absolutely the most loved and cherished I have felt. I shouldn't say in a long time, because that's not true. He shows me he loves me all the time. But it was such a lovely weekend. And it even made the fact that I had to work all day today lovely. And so today we're just going to go out to dinner and, like I said, ice cream. And I have a few things that I will show off to you that I have, quote, acquired as, I mean, I haven't acquired them. They were given to me as gifts. But I have just a few things that I will show to you that I have received because they kind of fit in the tone of the podcast, or you'll see. You'll see. It's not a haul. Yeah. Anyway, so I hope that you are doing well. I am having a lovely start to the week, and I'm hoping that actually the week will continue this way. There is an industry conference this week, which means a lot of the people at my company are going to it. I am not. I'm staying home and kind of minding the home fires. But that means that my week should be pretty quiet too, because my boss and several other people are going to be out of the office. So I'm looking forward to a quiet week. The weather has been absolutely lovely. It was 75 degrees and sunny yesterday, and it was perfect. And we don't get perfect weather in the Midwest that often. Pretty soon it will be 100 degrees with 100 plus heat index. So I went out and I walked and I enjoyed the outside, and I'm just bursting. It's lovely. I didn't do as much crafting as I had hoped, but that is okay, because I spent so much time with people and talking about books and spending time out with Wes and eating good food, and that fills up my bucket sometimes just as much as everything else. So I think I am good to go there. I didn't bring the tea in with me. Okay, so I am drinking tea, and I'm drinking it in a new mug that is a gift from a lovely friend. See, I told you it would work in. And this is the mug. And I hope you can see it okay. I hope it's like showing up. It's got letters of the alphabet, and not all of them, and not all in order, and it makes me laugh. And so thank you, because it is a lovely present. And today I am drinking a vanilla black chai, and it is from a tea company in Canada, and that was why I meant to bring the tea bag back, but I don't think I did. I will put a link to it in the show notes, which are over at thecornerofknitandtea.com. Every summer, my sister travels, well, I think it's a fall trip. Maybe it's a spring trip. I don't even remember. Once a year, my sister goes on a road trip with a bunch of her theater friends, and they go to Stratford, Canada, which is this tiny little town in Canada modeled on Stratford-upon-Avon, and they have a Shakespeare festival. And my sister goes for the Shakespeare festival because my sister runs a theater company that primarily produces Shakespeare plays. She produces Shakespeare in the Park every summer in Chicago, if you are in or around Chicago. And she found a tea shop there, and so she brought me back selections from the tea shop, and she gave them to me for Christmas. So I'm working my way through them, and this time is a vanilla black chai, which is Ceylon tea, a whole bunch of spices, including nutmeg and ginger and cinnamon and cloves, and then a little bit of vanilla. And so I brewed that up today, and I added a little bit of cream and a little bit of sugar, and it is absolutely delightful. So I am enjoying tea from my sister in a mug from a friend, and like I said, that kind of kicks off the whole thing. So I have two knitting projects to show you, and I have made a lot of progress on them, and one of them you won't be able to tell, and one of them you totally will be able to tell. So, I am working on a Minecraft sweater for my nephew. If you watched the last episode, I called it my Minesweeper sweater because I'm old and I accidentally called it that, and now that has become its name. But I am working on a sweater for my nephew for his birthday. He is 9, and he, when I asked him what kind of a sweater he wanted, he told me he wanted a pullover, and he asked if he could have a themed sweater. And for those of you who've been with me for a while, 2 years ago for his birthday, well, it'll be 3 years ago for his birthday, I knit him a sweater and then I duplicate stitched a bunch of Super Mario characters on there. Luigi was his favorite at the time, and then I put a few other things on there. And so when he said themed, I said, what do you mean themed? What would you like? And the first thing he said was Kirby, which is another video game character that's a little bit harder to sort of design something around. He's a big like dot, and then he eats things and he grows. And so I wasn't really sure what to do with that. And my sister is absolutely lovely. And she said, what other things do you enjoy? Because she was like, Kirby might be a little hard. And he said, can you do Minecraft? And I went and looked on Ravelry, and there is a fabulous Minecraft sweater. So this is a pattern. I talked about it last week a little bit. It is by a, I believe, a Norwegian designer. I will have it. It will not be linked in the show notes because it is a pattern on Ravelry. Unfortunately, it is only on Ravelry. It's an international designer. I can't control that. But I did buy the pattern from her. It is very much a little bit Elizabeth Zimmerman, light on the details. That's, I think, partially because I haven't talked about this before, but it's partially because in a lot of cultures around the world, not so much in American culture, but in a lot of cultures around the world, and particularly in Nordic cultures, weaving is often taught as a skill, and so you learn at your parents' and grandparents' knee. And I mean, I guess I don't know 100% for sure that that's still the case, but I do know a lot of people in other countries do actually learn to knit, even if it's just kind of a pastime or something. Or something that they learned from their parents or grandparents to create usable items, because of course the Nordic countries are quite cold, and so colorwork sweaters are definitely a thing. Anyway, because there is more of a general knitting and crafting knowledge in some of those countries, they don't always write their patterns the way Americans do, which is like with a plethora of details. So sometimes the patterns are a little more sparse. I will tell you the details in the pattern are a little bit sparse, but if you are a decent knitter, you can get through the pattern. They write out when the increases occur. They actually tell you the pattern for the increases. Otherwise, you're mostly working through charts, and I am basically to the point where I get to divide for the sleeves. So I've finished the fun part, which is the color work, although for me that is a little bit of the stressful part because particularly on yoked sweaters, I have a lot of trouble with my tension. And so even though I love color work, I love color work in hats because I manage the tension pretty easily there, but as soon as it gets onto a bigger needle, I have a little bit more trouble with it. Anyway, the color work is the challenging part for me. Now all that's left is just going to be mostly plain. But so let me stop talking and yapping on about this, and I will show you what I have done. So I will show you the front part of the sweater because I think that's the most interesting part right now. The back is very similar, but the front has the words and stuff. So this is what I have. So I have the creepers up here and the skulls, and then it actually says the words. Let me see if I can get this. It actually says the words Minecraft here. So it's super fun. And actually what I have done is I have left a big blank space open next to where it says Minecraft. And that is because while I was looking for things, including Kirby and Minecraft, Wes actually found an image of Kirby in Minecraft. Now, like I said, Kirby is a big circle and he has arms and feet and he eats stuff and then he gets bigger and bigger and bigger, but there actually was an image of him in Minecraft. And so yesterday I was thinking about it in the shower, and I came out and had to draw it, and so that is going to be my little Kirby motif. That is, he's on a slant. I don't know why he's on a tilt. It's just because I was coloring really fast because I was thinking about all the spaces that I left because I kind of just guessed when I decided to leave some space there. And I was like, do I have enough width? Do I have enough height? Do I have enough that I can place the pattern, the motif evenly in there so that I have like one free stitch on either side? All of the things that you think about. And I figured it out in my head in the shower, and then I was like, I have to go write this down. So I ran in here to write it down, and that is what Kirby's going to look like. He is going to get duplicate stitch on that section because of course colorwork yokes really hard if you're doing intarsia. I didn't want to mess with that. So I will duplicate stitch with the pink colors, and then actually the black color will just be the gray underneath. I just won't duplicate pocket stitch those few, so it will show that. So that is the difficult part of the sweater all done. So that is what I have here. So quick recap for those of you who weren't here for the first couple weeks. I am knitting this in Malabrigo Rios, and that is a great 100% superwash yarn option from Malabrigo. The top color is Pearl 10. That's the dark gray. The green is actually a separate. It is Neighborhood Fiber Company Studio DK Organic. I can't remember if she discontinued this base to move to something else. And I think her shop is actually closed right now. She had a planned closure while she worked some things out, and then she will reopen again. But this is what I said it was. So it's Neighborhood Fiber Company Studio DK Organic, and it is in Clintonville, which is this crazy bright green. And actually, this is the green that I used for Luigi in the previous Super Mario Brothers sweater. I only used a little bit, so I used a little bit more in this. And then this gray is Pearl from Malabrigo Rios. So two of the three colors are Malabrigo Rios, and then the only one that's not is the green. And I finished this section, so Kirby will go right here. He'll fit right in there. And then now it is time to divide for the sleeves and then work on the body and the sleeves. And the only thing I haven't decided is whether I'm going to put any motifs on the cuffs. The pattern does not have motifs on the cuffs or at the hem, and I thought about it, and I might do something on one of the cuffs. I can't decide. I am knitting this pattern comes in child sizes, and it goes up to 10 to 12 years. I'm knitting the size, I think it's offered in 6 sizes, but I can't remember. It might only be 5. It might only be 5. And I am knitting the 8 to 10 year size. Miles will be 9. I am thinking about adding an extra inch to the sleeves, which would mean maybe he'd get an extra season out of it, which would be absolutely lovely. And so my thought is that if I do that, maybe I won't put a motif at the cuff, because then this year, if he had to cuff the sleeves, then it would disappear the motif. Of course, then he could just think it would be a hidden motif, but I don't know. So we'll decide when we get there. But basically, I'm going to divide for sleeves and body tonight, and then I'm going to keep going. And it looks really big to me, but I always forget that's because it's the yoke, so it's supposed to go around his shoulders and everything, and it's really much smaller than I am, so it's not really a problem. But I'm really, really happy with it. I can't wait to kind of lay it out. I think I came out okay on the tension, so that is a little bit more how it looks for where it says Minecraft, and then it's just all these creepers and other things around here. I don't play Minecraft. I don't know much about it, but it's lovely, and I showed it to my sister, and she was like, he'll love it. So I can't wait. His birthday is in October, so it will be a while, but I am trying to finish sweaters early because I'm going to be traveling this summer, and some of the travel that I'm going to be doing this summer is with the children and my niece and nephew, and I don't want to be working on their sweaters while I'm with them, or worse, I don't want to be working on one sweater and not working on the other one and have the other kid feel left out. So I'm actually going to knit one sweater before I go on my travels, and then I will knit one sweater when I come home from my travels, and then I will be ready for fall birthdays. So that is what I'm working on. And just because I have it here, this is the Kansas City yarn crawl bag from 2021, and it is really cute. It's all the fiber animals on a big long bicycle, and I enjoy that. So the second project that I've been working on, I haven't brought to show you in a while. It looks pretty much the same as it did last time, other than the fact that it's just bigger. And that is, I am knitting the mosaic blanket, the Pearl Soho mosaic blanket for my niece. She got married in what year is it? It's 2025. She got married in 2023, and the scheduling around their wedding was pretty quick. It wasn't a quick wedding. They had been together for years, but their scheduling around their wedding was pretty quick. I didn't have a lot of time where I could knit a blanket for them. And then my plan was to knit it for their first wedding anniversary last year, but I had so much trouble with my tendonitis that I ended up not being able to finish it. So I'm working on it now. And actually, if I just work on Miles' sweater and this blanket this month, which will create incredibly boring podcast content for you if I'm working on the same 2 projects all month long. But if I just work on them both this month, I think I can finish them, which would be absolutely lovely because that's 2 fall projects out of the way. My niece's second wedding anniversary will be in October, as well as the kids' birthdays. So it's a big month. And if I finish this, then I will have everything ready for then. So again, I'm doing the Pearl Soho mosaic blanket, and I am knitting it in 2 colorways. And those colorways are, I'm knitting it in a Barocco Comfort, which is 100% non-man-made fibers, or 100% man-made fibers, not organic fibers. It is 50% superfine acrylic nylon and 50% superfine nylon and 50% superfine acrylic in the colorways beetroot and licorice, and these were her wedding colors. I chose to go with acrylics because they have two big adorable rescue pit bulls, and they all like to cuddle on the couch, and my idea for this blanket was that they could all cuddle on the couch, but if you have two rescue dogs and they're big dogs and they're gonna snuggle up in the blankets, you need to be able to wash them. And so my niece is also, this is on my husband's side, and she's not, well, okay, I don't give my sister, well, okay. When I knit for the kids, I knit in superwash because I know that my sister is busy and she doesn't have time to take care of every little thing for the kids, and hand wash for children is impractical. When I have knit my sister a few nice items for herself that she does take care of, and she does know how to wash wool. My niece and nephew come from the other side of the family, and that is not something that is kind of ingrained in the family. And also because they have dogs and my niece works 2 jobs and they're incredibly busy, I wanted to make this as easy care as possible. So I chose acrylic. It's a nice acrylic. The colors are beautiful. And so it's nice and soft. It's not squeaky. It's not like the old Red Heart, or it's not coarse. And I really enjoy it. And so I am excited to give them this blanket. So I am currently almost done with my 4th skein of the red. It turns out I use more of the beetroot than I do of the licorice. It's just the way the pattern falls out. Like, I thought it was going to be equal, but it's not quite equal. Like, I have almost none of my 4th ball left, and I just started my 4th skein of the black. So my guess is I'll use 6 skeins of the red and 5 skeins of the black overall, but this is what I have. Let me just straighten things out. And you will remember I have been working on this for a long time, but I have quite little length in here. It's already a couple feet long, which is lovely. I was hoping it would be 5 to 6 feet long. I don't know. I haven't measured. Actually, I think I'll probably get there because I have basically another third. It is getting heavy, and it's absolutely, I really like it. It's very kind of Art Deco and mosaic tiley to me, and the pattern, I absolutely cannot memorize the pattern. Like, I just haven't been able to commit it to memory, so I wander around with my little chart the whole time, and you can see it's getting more and more beat up as time goes on. However, it is really simple because it's every repeat is every row is basically 2 rows, and on the first row you do the pattern, and on the second row you knit the knits and slip the slips. So it's very easy, and I do usually 8 rows at a clip, and it's lovely. So it is getting nice and big, and I am enjoying it, and I probably won't bring it back until I'm close to finishing it because it's not very exciting for you to look at because it's the same blanket every single week, but it is growing, and I am really, really pleased. I think it's going to be beautiful, and I'm happy to give it to them as a gift. So, and I think she'll like it. She always is, she likes home stuff. It's very funny. So my niece on my husband's side is 26, and she and her husband is the same age. And Wes and I obviously okay, if you haven't been here for a while, my husband and I have no children. And so we like to spoil our niece and nephew on both sides. And our niece, gosh, this gets into a lot of things. Both of my niece's parents have passed away, so she does not have parental figures in her life. And so Wes and I sometimes feel slightly parental. We aren't super involved in her life. She lives on the East Coast. She has very much by her own decision, raised herself. She has built her own family and friends out there, and we think that's lovely. We love to support her. Sometimes I feel slightly parental in that we like to try and send her some extra money every now and then, and like help out if we can. They bought a house, which they mostly did on their own, but you know, we like to help them out, like, if we can, and send them things. And it's very funny because we sent her a $100 gift card for her birthday once. And she called Uncle Wes up to thank him. And she told him she bought a vacuum cleaner because she really wanted to clean her house. And it made me laugh because I was like, that's not really the purpose of birthday money would be to do something fun with it. But I appreciate that, like, she wants to build a home, probably. Anyway, I appreciate that, and so I think she will appreciate the blanket, and I am happy to knit it for them and send it off to them, and I wish I'd been able to do it sooner, but at least it will get there. So that is my second knitting project. The project that I'm contemplating, dream knitting, actually also fits in a little bit with a birthday present. So that's, see, I told you I would work it in. So my sister is absolutely lovely and supports my interests, and I know how things work. She and I often buy things off of each other's Amazon wish lists because we put things on our wish list so it's easy to find things for each other that we know we'll like. For instance, like for her birthday this year, she wanted, she plays piano, and so I bought her a couple piano scores that were on her wish list. And then she had this text. My sister is a theater director. She went to Northwestern. She graduated with a degree in theater, and she actually is directing theater. And like I said, she runs her own Shakespearean theater company. And she had this textbook, and she said it was a textbook that a lot of her friends talked about because they had gone to grad school and gotten a master's in fine arts, and she was really interested in reading the textbook. So I bought her these piano scores that she wanted, and then I bought her this textbook about directing. And I sent them to her, and she was like, this is so great. This is like my best nerdy things. So in the last few months, I have been looking through knitting books, and I put a bunch of knitting books on my list because I kind of surmised that she would be looking for something. And she looked at my list and bought me some knitting books. Which is absolutely predictable and absolutely wonderful because I put books on my list that I really, really wanted. So my next project comes from this book, which I really want. This came out a couple years ago. It's called Knit Happy with self-striping yarn, and it is by Stephanie Lotvin, who is Telly Bean Knits. And the one that I would really like to knit, and actually I have all the, I have yarn for it. So hang on just a second. Sweaters. I think it's 155. Yeah. So the sweater I want to knit is this one. This is a summer sweater. It's knit in fingering weight yarn, and it's knit in a skein of obviously self-striping yarn and then some contrasting yarn. And so this is the one that I'm trying not to cast on so I can finish the projects that I'm currently working on. But I have a cherished skein of sock yarn that I bought years and years and years ago. It is called Russian Rainbow, and it was dyed by a woman in Alaska, and it is absolutely stunning. It is a rainbow, and it's absolutely stunning. It's like all the shades. It's almost a gradient. And so I am going to use that for the top part, and then I have a navy that I bought a couple years ago on the Yarn Crawl. It's cross between like a cornflower blue and a navy. It's not quite a dark navy, but it is a dark blue. And so I'm going to do that on the bottom, and I think they're going to set each other off really, really well. And so I have all the yarn in my stash, and now I have the pattern, and you can't buy the pattern outside the book for this particular one, which is why I really, really wanted the book. But actually, this is the book. I think I told the story a couple weeks ago, how I was at knit night and I was really tired and we were talking about something, and I called it The Traveling Hood of the Sister Pants. This is the book that I was talking about, because when I was talking about this book and talking about the top that I wanted to knit, everybody found a pattern, everybody in my knitting group found a pattern in this book that they really wanted to knit. And so I was like, well, if I get the book for my birthday, because yes, I kind of thought about this, I said, if I get the book for my birthday, I will pass it around, and if not, I'll buy it and then I'll pass it around and we can each make something out of it. So yes, so this is The Traveling Hood of the Sister Pants book, and it's a lovely book. I would highly recommend it. There are lots of fun rainbow projects in here. You can look it up on Ravelry if that's safe for you to use. Otherwise, go to Telly Bean Knits, TELLYBEAN knits.com, and you can see her patterns on her website. And this is her book. It came out a couple years ago. I don't remember precisely. It might be more than a couple years ago. It was published in 2020, and it's by Page Street Publishing, and it is still obviously available. So the only other thing I have to show you, and then I will let you go, is I did finish the first bobbin of Enchilada Night, which is for my chicken. So this is 4 ounces of Enchilada Night on Corriedale. It was dyed by Hello Yarn, and this is what I have been using for my chicken. And I have the first 4 ounces spun, and I am working on the second 4 ounces that are now on my spinning wheel. It's a bunch of bits and bobs, and I'm kind of tearing them into strips and working on them. I don't know if I will be finished with them by the end of this week, but I think I don't know for sure, but we shall see. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I know this was a very chatty podcast. I talked a lot about myself, which I try not to do usually. But I hope that you are having a lovely week, as lovely a week as I am. I'm just really, really enjoying this week, and it's really nice. And I'm sure I'll have plenty more to talk about next week that won't be going according to plan, because usually when things are absolutely lovely, that's when something happens. But I hope that you have a lovely week ahead. I hope you are finding crafting inspiration. You are enjoying the changing of the seasons. And I will talk to you again soon. So I will say, as I always do, happy spinning, happy knitting, happy quilting, embroidering, any craft you do, happy sipping, and I will see you next time. Bye.